Hello and welcome to episode 115, a dozen W's. 12 for those of you who don't know what a dozen is. Today we are joined by, well, you have myself, Mike, as always. We have Oscar, hashtag Roger Ball, and we have Bill. Kenny's joining us. He's trying to inhale his food before he comes on. Gentlemen, how are we doing on this fine Wednesday evening after a brilliant comeback victory in Turin?
Amazing.
I couldn't feel happier, man. Today, I think I scared all my office. I didn't break anything, but man, it's been a great day.
It was close. It was close. Everyone around you were probably like, "What the hell's wrong with this guy?"
Oh man. And I had my headphones on, so I'm like as soon as Benfica scored, I'm like, yeah, and they're like, "What the fuck is happening there?" Then nothing else is happening. I'm just screaming.
We have a lot to cover today. A magnificent performance, an even better result. We'll talk about the Benfica victory in Turin. We had João Fernandes, who is part of our Cantinho Benfiquista, was present, sending all sorts of videos. So hopefully you guys check that out. And before I go any further, Kenny, welcome back. How are you?
Good. Just got back from Turin, a little late. So
A little trip.
Delayed. It was delayed. How was dinner?
lag.
Dinner good? Was
Good,
dinner
it was
good?
good, it was
Good,
good.
good.
Good
Had some
day all
pasta.
around.
Yeah, so we'll talk about the Juventus game. A lot of talking points on this game. Those of you who are watching, tuning in, please send us your questions, your thoughts, your feedback. This is going to be hopefully a really interactive one because, I mean, truth be told, this is the first time that we won against Juventus since 68. Eusebio scored, but not many teams win in Italy, Portuguese teams. Oscar, I believe you said 96.
Yep.
Porto won against AC Milan. A very strong AC Milan team in 96. Porto tied last year. I thought they had won, but they tied against Lazio last year away. We beat Juve a few years ago in the Europa League at home, but we drew 0-0 away. So although Benfica has a decent record against Juventus in their history, but again, winning on Italian soil is not something that comes often. So great win. We'll talk at the end about the Famalicão game, but more so I want to talk about the situation that occurred at the game with that child who was watching the game shirtless at the game because he wasn't sitting with the Benfica fans, and really just kind of have a conversation about what that would look like here in the States, right? And all of us being located in the States, and obviously the dynamic is very different overseas, but just kind of get some opinions on that. Para a malta que nos esteja a ver em português, hoje temos o nosso podcast em inglês. Geralmente o podcast em português é à quarta-feira, às 21 horas. Hoje, por causa do jogo, não houve podcast em português. Estamos a ver se conseguimos fazer o podcast amanhã, a partir das 20h30, mas ainda não está confirmado. Mas estejam à vontade de participar aqui nesta nossa conversa. Deixem os vossos comentários, as vossas opiniões na caixa de comentários. Nós todos percebemos português, iremos abordar os vossos comentários, por isso estejam à vontade, participem na conversa e vamos falar aqui do nosso Benfica, que já vai em 12 vitórias seguidas, contando com os jogos de pré-época, 17 jogos, todos os jogos que o Benfica jogou esta época, ganhou-os todos, o que é uma marca interessante, uma marca que não acontece muitas vezes, mas vamos saborear este momento, porque já lá vão 3 anos em que nós não ganhamos nada e a malta tem que sorrir agora, por isso vamos aproveitar este momento. Quickly in the chat here, we have Cristiano Cortesão, Força Benfica vence por nós. Boa noite, Cristiano, ou bom dia, dependendo de onde é que estejas. Boa noite ao Tiago, 12 in a row, yes. Carlos, que está no Reino Unido, um abraço para ti. Já é tarde ou cedo, dependendo como é que olhas para o horário. Lourdes, um abraço para ti. Zulmira, SLB, yes, Benfica's 4-1-1 against Juve. Does that, or now 5-1-1? Yes, I was just going to say, does that count? So SLB, yes, thanks for joining us. And John De Cruz, good evening, good afternoon. E Telmo, hoje participas no nosso cantinho inglês, normalmente é no português, mas um abraço e esteja à vontade de participar e dar aí os teus comentários. Sim, 12 em 12 e agora que venha ao Marítimo, em casa. Today, Juventus 1, Benfica 2. Looking at the lineup here, again, very much the same. Alexander Bach comes in for Gilberto. I know that there was a little bit of concern there, or maybe not concerned, but more so feeling like, Gilberto maybe deserved to get that start. We'll talk about that. A game that we basically walked in trailing. Early goal, 4th minute for Juventus. Milik with a header. Some questionable marking in the box on that set piece. Benfica comes in struggling. First 15, 18 minutes, we struggled to really get a hold of the game. But Juventus, credit to them, they came out flying. They were pressing high. They were moving the ball. They were getting into every tackle. And Benfica just looked, second best for those first 18 minutes. Like there was just no way out of it. They looked completely shocked. But credit to them. I mean, this team, or Benfica of the last 2 years, would have crumbled going down that early with that pressure. They just would have fallen apart. And they just kept grinding. And for me, in my opinion, 20 minutes in, Benfica finally got a hold of that game and settled down and just took over. And I would say from the 20th minute till about the 70th, Benfica was by far the better team. And then tired legs, complacency, lack of experience, right? You name it what you want, right? Juventus started to get into the game, but we saw it out. But I'm going to start with Kenny. I'm going to start with you. How do you sum up this game?
I mean, you summed it up pretty well there. But no, I agree with you. I think for a majority of that game, I saw Benfica play probably the best football of the year. They completely took over the game, like you said, about 20 minutes in after, being down 1-0. They didn't let that get to them. And they took hold. I mean, there were so many gaps. I also think Juventus they didn't have the legs. They looked tired. I mean, we were just threading balls into open spaces, huge gaps between the back line, their back line, and their midfield. And, I think we completely broke their defense. They just didn't look good at all. I think we didn't – I mean, this could have easily been like a 4-goal, 4-1 game, or maybe 4-2 because they did – I mean, we got away with an incredible miss by, I forget who it was, but right at the end of the game there.
The defender
Juventus.
was Bremer.
Yeah. So, I mean, we didn't score. We didn't score more because we didn't want to. Because I think we had easy opportunities to score. We were unlucky. We hit the post a couple of times, but there were some crazy chances that we just kind of gave up on the play. I mean, right at the end of the game, I don't know what happened between. I think it was Rafa and
Musa.
Yeah, Musa. Like I don't know, but at the end of the day, I thought it was some of the best soccer we've played against a big name. I don't know if they're as good as they used to be, but a big opponent at away, a tough arena to play in, and we pulled off something probably a lot of us didn't think. Besides Bill, I know Bill guessed a victory. But I mean, I guess the tie at best.
Oscar guessed the tie and then wanted to change it to 3-0 Juventus.
20 minutes in.
24 minutes in. He was like, it's going to be 3-0.
Yeah. So it's a great win, man. I mean, we've done this now for 3 years, and this is our 3rd year, and we haven't had a lot of days like today, I feel like. So this was a big one. I mean, we've beaten opponents, but I don't think we've looked like we beat
Ajax.
Yeah, Ajax, right? But I don't think we looked as good as we did for
not a chance.
Like you said, 60 minutes of the game. So
yeah.
You said this is the best we've looked this year. I'll say this is the best we've looked in 3 years. That, from the Mike said, from the 20-minute mark until the 70th or 80th minute, I can't remember a performance in the last 3 years that is comparable. Like you said, we beat Barca, we beat Ajax, PSV, but those were all counterattacking, clinical, kind of take advantage of our chances. Right. This was just we dominated possession. We created chances. We probably could have had at least two more goals. It's hard for me to think of another performance in the last 3 years that even comes close to this. Regardless of the opponent, it's just the performance.
And Shiku says, right, he makes up a good point, right? We also beat Barcelona. But I would say, Shiku, that, like Bill said, right, like we beat Barcelona at home last year, but we could have very well lost that game, right? Barcelona had a couple of chances right after we scored. It wasn't a dominant performance, like Bill said. I think it was just more of we read the game well. We took advantage of it. We were efficient. We took our opportunities. But I think overall, I mean, look at the stats. This is overall game stats, right? We had 19 shots to 11, 7 on target against 3. We had 11 corners against 4, 55% possession against 45. Like, how often does any team go to Juventus Stadium, a club like Juventus, let alone a Portuguese team, right? Given the difficulty that we have in Italy, right? I think the numbers speak for themselves. And again, like they could have scored another goal or two. We could have scored 2, maybe 3 more goals as well. But the performance, I think, it definitely stands out. Kenny, before I pass it over to these guys,
Yeah.
I want you to jump on Telmo's question here. Can Benfica hold Enzo?
I hope they can at least hold him through the winter. Because at this rate, I really do see someone scooping him up. I don't know. I mean, I think it's going to be impossible. I think we hold him on for the year, but after that, there is no chance he's not going to go play in England somewhere.
I said it during the game. I think at the end of the year we lose both our midfielders. Tino and Enzo are gone. The way these two players have looked.
And
I
Hold on, we
can't
got a alerta. Cantinho Benfiquista. João Pereira says, first of all, Oscar Barroso, I'm sorry I missed that job, but it was great being with you in Montalegre. Love you, man. Look at this. I mean,
You're not the only one.
Benfica bringing
Kenny
people
missed it
together.
too.
Kenny missed it too.
yeah, but I
Blacked out.
No, I wasn't on my deathbed.
I mean,
But,
look at it. Benfica big win. João Pereira stays up after 10:30. You know,
I like it.
He's practicing
He's
football.
my man. I love that guy.
He's practicing football. Oscar. Kenny, go ahead, finish before we pass.
No, I was just gonna say, and someone probably can take the lead after this, but not only like this game, like a lot of players stood out to me. Like I think it's very hard to pick a man of the match because individually there were so many players that played well, but then as a unit, I mean, we saw some tiki-taka type stuff that I can't believe we couldn't score some of these goals in the area that we had chances for, but that's why I felt it was like a complete game. I know the score looks like it was tight, but I never felt like that game was tight at all. But yeah, individual play from a lot of the stars on the team finally, and then just as a unit, I mean, if we can play like this moving forward, it's going to be tough to beat us.
Oscar, I'm going to pass it to you, and you can feel free to jump on the Enzo conversation as well. But SLBS says it didn't look pretty the first minutes, but they picked themselves up and could see their confidence grow with every passing minute. And my question around here is going to be, right, the confidence aspect, right? And naturally, winning brings confidence, right? Like whether you win ugly, whether you win great, it brings confidence, right? And especially the fact that we've won 12 straight official games, we've won 7, like they've not tasted anything but a victory under Roger Schmidt, right? Very unlikely scenario. Like that's just the reality of it, especially at this level. To win 17 straight is ridiculous, right? And do you think, what would you attribute this confidence, whatever you want to call it, to? Is it a mix of the players? Is it a mix of the direção and the coaching staff? Is it primarily the coaching staff? Like what if you had to put your finger on, like what would you associate it to?
All right, so I don't want to admit this because I was one not to want a coach coming from outside of the country.
That's true. Right? I forgot about that.
So, but with different ideas that Roger brought to the team, he gave them confidence, and I have 3 little stars here that sums up what I think about this team. They don't seem to fold like we're used to seeing when we go down. Forget it, everything just goes downhill. They don't seem to fold. They keep their identity, which is one thing that I like. Enzo at the end of the game goes, we just kept playing our ball, and then the result came on its own, which is exactly what I've been wanting from this team: is keep your identity. Don't go and fall into Juventus type of play, and then you lose basically what Benfica is all about. They're good with pressure, a young squad with a lot of personality. Like that's to me sums up what Benfica is this year. I'm afraid that we've had this in the past with Bruno Lage, with the young squad winning, and then they lost one game, and you saw what happened after they lost, right? But I feel like this is 3 games this season right now that we are losing, and we turned the game around and we won, right? So it shows the personality these guys have. I think it has a lot to do with the coaching staff, has a lot to do with the mix of players that we have in the team. Today I saw one play where Enzo started doing tiki-taka, like Kenny said. He chipped a player in the midfield.
Yeah, a couple times, and he lost the ball twice.
He lost the ball, and Otamendi went at him. Otamendi fucking let him know, like, don't fuck around like this. And to me, that shows what this team is about. You don't have you have a captain there that will tell you to stop doing that shit if you're messing up. Doesn't matter if the kid is playing unbelievable. But dude, play the ball. Don't you almost a counterattack almost happened because you lost the ball in the midfield right there.
So would you say accountability above all, right? There's accountability of right, like whether you're a veteran, whether you're a kid, like you're out here to do a job, and if 100%. You don't do the job, you're going to be held accountable. But now I'm going to ask you this question, right? Which you made a comment here is Otamendi, right? We have a captain there, and if I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong, but I believe you were one of the ones that was against also Otamendi becoming captain so early on.
So early, yes.
Yeah.
I don't mind Otamendi coming in, and I don't mind Otamendi staying after being there for a while. Meaning like at least more than 10 games in the season. Yep. To me, I said I don't mind him being a captain. He's a captain quality player. But when it came in from outside without knowing our like basically our team chemistry, not being familiar with the players in the squad, and becoming captain right away, I wasn't okay with that. I said give him some more time, get adapted to the players, and then if he deserves it, he deserves it. How does he know he deserves it coming in from a team that he's never played for Benfica before? You know what I mean? Like. Yep. To me, that was the only thing with Otamendi. But now he's proven it. He's absolutely our number one captain. There's no ends and ifs.
How would you sum up the game overall?
I mean, like I said at the beginning, and you called me out on it. The first goal happens in the 4th minute in, right? And then I'm like, shit. I'm like, damn it. Like, it's going to be – I made so much fun of Porto yesterday, and now I'm going to get fucking – it's going to come back to me, right? That's what my mind is thinking, because I even called my girlfriend's dad, and I texted him. I'm like, hey, no shorts.
Oh. Meanwhile, he was trying to change his phone number in the 4th minute.
Dude. All I know is that today I'm like, shit. And then right away, as soon as Juventus scored, Rob Claro is a Porto fan.
Yeah.
I get
he finally woke up?
I get those corner eyes because I gave him 4 yesterday. All right. So today I got the corner eyes. I'm like, shit.
Yeah, but it's Oscar, it's funny how the phones like stop working. They like something happens.
Cell service finally picked up.
Yeah, something happens where the phones just stop working all of a sudden. Funny.
Yeah, but dude, it was awesome. And then we came back, and then we were playing after we got back into the game, and we kept to identity, like which a big thing for me. We didn't fold. And we Benfica got back into the rhythm. I mean, I thought it was a matter of time. The PK was stupid PK, but to me, obviously, there's no question about this PK. Yeah. Obviously, the guy didn't mean to step on him, but Remo just got there faster. It was no danger. Those balls going away from outside of the box, but it's a PK, and that got us back into the game. And then then after that was just history. I mean, you guys all commented on it and exactly how we played, and I totally agree.
Bill, what do you add to that? And then there was who was it that said it in here? Hold on. Oh, Telmo. The difference from this season to the previous ones is Florentino. Love this guy. He's amazing. I know that we've talked on and off about him. We've had a lot of conversation about him in the off season, last season. He's come, he's gone on loan. He's not played, right? Is his head where it needs to be? Is he, committed to the squad? Is he one of those players that's just chasing money and then just wants to ride it out? Truth is that he comes back under a new manager, under a new coaching staff, gets another opportunity, and he has absolutely crushed it.
Stud.
So anything that you add to that game in terms of what Kenny and Oscar said, and do you agree with Telmo here in terms of he may not be the difference, but he is one of the differences?
Yeah, no, I agree with that, and I think Kenny and Oscar touched on most of this game, but I do want to touch on like Roger sticking to his game plan and not like changing up the formation to kind of pack the midfield because Juve plays with 5 in the midfield. And at the beginning of that game, I even made a comment. We were outnumbered. You could tell that they had 5 in the midfield because like we could not get any kind of hold in the game at all. And he stuck with it. He stuck with the formation. I mean, how many times did we see? I'm going to bring him up, and Oscar's going to fucking grin. But JJ switch between the 3 in the back, the 4 in the back, to 2 midfielders, to 3 midfield. Like he was constantly switching and kind of adapting what we were going to do to the team we're playing.
David Luiz to the left side, remember?
Yeah. Whereas Roger's like, no, this is how we fucking play. It doesn't matter who we're playing. This is our philosophy. This is our system. This is our style, and we're gonna ride it out. If it fails us. But this is our identity. Right. I mean, but I like that. Like you get the team and you build that formation, and you get a comfort with the dynamic and how you're supposed to play and kind of your routines. When you start fucking throwing formations out left and right and changing things to your opponent, can cause all sorts of fucking havoc. And
true.
And I think sticking to it and it's been working thus far, so there's no reason to fucking change anything. So
I have a question for you off that.
Before you say anything, you know how I think Gasselbe just said it right now. You know, when Weigl came in, it kind of changed Benfica to the worst. Isn't it kind of like weird that he was our best player last year, and now him leaving kind of changed Benfica to the best? Is maybe just the theory that
I think it's another conspiracy, because I know people say like, oh, Weigl took Florentino out of the lineup, and that's not true, because if you go back and look, Tino was already not playing for a month and a half before Weigl actually ended up coming. So, but it's an interesting coincidence, right? Like, but again, like 2 different types of players, right? Like Tino can play that high press. He sometimes plays higher up the field than Enzo does, so Enzo can coordinate from the back. Right, he's able to go and have a quicker reaction to the loss of possession, right? Where Weigl was secure with the ball, he was better with his feet than Florentino is. He could pick a better pass than Florentino is. He had more discipline with the ball, right? But for a team that wants to play Gangnam style or whatever the hell the Germans call it, Gangen press or whatever the hell it's called, right? Weigel's just not that type of player, unfortunately, right? Doesn't mean that Weigel's not a world-class player, right? But if he doesn't fit, he doesn't fit. Kenny, what were you gonna say?
No, I was kind of leading to that. It's like we're able to play the soccer we want to play because we finally have a midfield to play the style we want to play. Let's not kid ourselves. In the previous years, our midfield was shambles. Weigl was the only real centerpiece there. There was no Enzo. Enzo, like, he literally makes the biggest difference. And I think that's why we're able to play the style that we want to play. We don't need to adjust to other teams. Whereas when you don't have a strong midfield, you have to play with the tactics, or else
we haven't had an Enzo since Enzo.
Enzo,
there you go.
Yeah,
and I don't think Tino is as successful without Enzo.
No, I know. Yeah,
I agree. So, they complement each other very well.
Very well.
And what one has, the other doesn't, right? Like Enzo has the vision, has the motor, has the ability to pick a pass. Florentino has a motor, but he doesn't have a pass, right? So it's like, I'm going to get it. It reminds me a lot of like Fejsa. Fejsa wasn't good with the ball, right? So it's like, I'm just going to go and fuck people up. I'm going to get the ball back and I'm going to give it to you. And then you do whatever you need to do with it. I don't want it. I'm just going to take it away from them, right? So, I think they complement each other well. And I want to go back to what Bill said, right? Which was, not sure about that, Mike. Tino has been really, really good with the ball. Yes, he definitely has been better. But he hasn't been known for being good with his feet. But I can agree that as the season has gone on, he has gained more confidence. He has picked passes in tighter spaces. But if you go back to maybe like the second or third game, I can't remember who it was against, where he held on to it a little bit too long, made a couple of sloppy passes, right? But again, with confidence, or with wins comes confidence, right? And when you have the team's playing well, all the guys around you are playing well, right? You're going to take that extra risk, right? You're going to make that extra pass because, if I fuck that up, the team around me is going to help me get it back, right? You don't have situations where it's like the only guy trying to take those risky passes is Taarabt, and 9 out of 10 times he fucks it up, right? And the team around him's not playing well, right? So it just goes down the drain, right? So I agree with João in terms that he has been better, but that's not what he's been known for.
But Tino was a starter when Brun Lage was there, and he was
Correct.
like, everybody was saying, all the fans were saying it's Tino plus 10, plus 10.
Correct.
At that time. So like,
Correct.
I hope he just continues this trend and doesn't lose it, because there's history there where he has been playing really well and he fell off.
Yeah, it's crazy. And I said in our text group, it's crazy to me that this is the same kid that has been loaned out for the last 2 years, never played at any of the spots he went to, comes back
regularly,
and now he's an undisputed, like, easily one of the first people on team sheet. Like, you don't even question it. Right? It blows my mind.
Bill, and if you know, Mike, I don't know if you can pull these stats, but after the game, I don't know if it was whoever channel I was watching it on, it showed like the people that ran the most, and Florentino was up there. I think he was number 2.
I believe
Benfica.
it. Yeah.
And for defensive midfield, man, that's impressive. Like him running, like you don't see that from Weigl, like that.
We press so high. That's why.
For me, what's more impressive about it is the fact that we had more possession throughout the game.
Yeah.
Right. So you would think if we had less possession, you're just chasing the ball.
Right.
Like
you're
the
running,
fact that we had 55% possession of the ball and he was one of the ones that covered the most ground, I think speaks volumes of what this team is doing on the field.
Yeah.
Bill, before I go back to what you had said, I just want to run through some of these questions here, or comments, just so I make sure that we remember the people in our viewers list here. Pedro Pereira says, "E legendas para quando?" Oh, Pedro, podes fazer aí comentários em português se quiseres. Todos nós percebemos português, por isso estás à vontade de participar aqui nesta nossa conversa. Peço desculpa se não entenderes bem o inglês, mas nós vamos tentando misturando aqui algum português e inglês para ver se a malta consegue acompanhar a conversa. António Silva, dos Estados Unidos, um abraço para ti. Diz lá onde é que estás nos acompanhar nos Estados Unidos. Nós também estamos em Massachusetts e o Oscar está na Flórida. Jason says Enzo and Tino are studs. Joaninha, welcome back. Definitely had personality and some good plays. I can't remember who she was talking to. SLBS we already touched on. João says, loving the conversation, but I really need to get some sleep. See you guys. Carrega Benfica. Vai dormir, João.
Boa noite. Tchau.
Até amanhã. Bill, what I wanted to talk to you about was, or I'm going to open this up to you guys, right? Is you talked about, right? Let's not adjust our play to our opponent, right? Let's make them adjust to us, right? Let's feel confident enough that we have enough advantages and weapons that, you know what? We're not going to be the little minnow anymore, right? If you want to play against us, let's go head to head, right? We're not going to pack it in. We're not going to sit deep. We're not going to reinvent the wheel. But I'm going to turn this on you and say, do you guys think that he sticks to his guns against PSG? Or do you think, given the nature of the opponent and the quality on the other side of the fence, you're almost forced in some ways to make an adjustment? Or do you think that he sticks to his guns and runs out with the same formation and the same style that we've been playing and says, fuck it, right? We have no reason to change it. We have nothing to lose. And against an opponent that everyone expects us to lose against, let's fucking go for it. What do you guys think happens here?
The only thing that I think might happen, I mean, I don't think it puts anybody from the bench instead of these guys. I mean, our top guys are fast and can recover, right? They can come back and help defend. We saw Rafa and Neres defending like I never seen before today, right? Ramos is a guy that's by nature a guy that runs around and helps in the midfield to also defend. So I think, who do we have in the bench that can do better than that? I don't think we have anybody that can help defend more than these guys. So I think he goes with this plan. I mean, today I actually wrote a note. The guys that Juve has in the back, they're all averaged in the 30 age, like in the 30, 35, 31, 29, 34, 28. Paredes is 28 in the midfield. And our forwards are like in the, Gonçalo Ramos, we had Enzo, we have Florentino in the midfield, and these guys gave it to them. So like, I believe enough in these guys to play against. Obviously, we're not expected to win against PSG, but I think at home we have to go with our identity. I think we have to go with our personality into this game and see what happens. I don't think we have anybody on the bench that can come in and be like, hey, because of this game, who can we put in to help this team defend better? I don't think we have anybody.
Kenny, Bill, you agree?
I mean, the only thing, and I saw a few not rumors, but like the newspapers were talking about bringing in don't even fucking know how to pronounce his last name. Yeah,
the Norwegian.
and bring him into the midfield and add another guy into
But
the
who
midfield.
do you take out?
Yeah,
Well,
who
that's
do
the
you
thing.
take out?
You would have to lose like a.
Probably take out João Mario because
João
Neres
Mario,
gives you the
yeah.
1-to-1, right? But
No,
João Mario's been our best
man.
player.
He's been
Exactly.
our best motor
Exactly.
in the midfield.
Yeah.
And he's been.
No,
Have you seen him defending too?
Yeah. Dude,
I
he's
agree.
been so good this beginning of the season. Incredible.
Yeah. No, I agree.
You can't put him on the bench.
And I think he sticks to his guns and sticks to his formation and his style against PSG. Like Oscar said, it's one of those games where we have nothing to lose, right? If we get the result, if we somehow pull off a result, a tie or a win, that's golden for us. We're expected.
There you go,
expected
Joaninha
to
jinxing João Mario. There you go.
Yeah.
Good job, Joaninha.
We're expected to lose because we're the underdog, considering the amount of money that PSG has and that squad depth they have. So I think he sticks with his guns and rides it out.
Can you agree?
I think we'll stick to the same formation. I don't know if we'll be pressing as much. I think naturally, it's all going to depend on game flow, but I think we'll pack it in a little bit.
The only one maybe Gilberto for Ba to help back the defense. Maybe.
Potentially, yeah.
If he wants to go the route of packing it in, right? But I like Ba, dude. He creates. I mean, causes
He
balls
gives-
down that. Yeah. And
Yeah.
if you want to play the attack style, I think you have to play Ba. I liked him today. I liked how
I think he had a volley today that got blocked, and I
He
think
did,
if
yeah.
it didn't get blocked,
Bonucci.
it
I think it's in, yeah.
Yeah.
And he had a situation in the second half where he tracked back, where we were caught out of position, and he tracked back, and he was like on the opposite side of the field and broke up the play. Like he literally he doesn't tire. Like he just runs and runs and runs, and like you guys said, right, he gives us that outlet going forward. He goes to the line, and Gilberto does too, but Ba gives it a different quality. His cross quality is superior. He covers a hell of a lot more ground. Defensively, is he better than Gilberto? I would probably say no, right? But it's similar to Grimaldo, right? Like the offset of like what he can give us everywhere else, right? Like, okay, we'll take the risk of defensively. Maybe he's not as good, I think. But everything else he gives us is superior.
But let's not forget that he's not going to be playing against Cuadrado. He's going to be playing against Neymar. So
correct.
That's a big difference on. I think we need somebody, another Brazilian there like Gilberto that can stick it to Neymar.
Chirp in his ear.
Yeah, that could be maybe an answer.
It could be a mind game,
Neymar,
right? Like
Messi and Mama Pep. Like,
yeah,
not...
I mean, I watched them. I had the game up today, and the amount of opportunities that they had, like one-on-one with the goalie, and they blew, like they just got too fancy. Like the amount of times that they get him behind the back line is absolutely astonishing. How often it happens. I'm
really concerned about Antonio. See how he does against those guys.
So I was just going to ask you guys that. So Telmo says, I think it'll be a crazy game against PSG. I'd like to be in Portugal to watch this game, but I think Benfica will win. Antonio says, boa noite para todos. Boa noite, Antonio. Joaninha says, what did you guys think about João Mario's yellow for celebrating? I don't know if the yellow was for celebrating or if because
I think it might have been with each other.
I think because Juventus
player got a yellow card
too. Yeah, Juventus player got a yellow too.
Bonucci got one,
but I thought it was stupid.
It was very stupid because all João Mario did is stand there. He didn't.
And you basically now condition two players.
Yeah.
Or like you can't get another yellow card, and you got a yellow card for something completely stupid. Like, what was the difference between that and having an argument on the field during the game with an opponent? Like, I thought it was ridiculous.
But I don't know if you noticed that Neymar got a yellow for celebrating his normal
for doing this
celebration.
Yeah.
His normal celebration. So
he did this or something like that, and he got like a
that's his normal celebration. That's his.
He was pissed off. Yeah, he was really upset. We got a couple more questions here in the comments, but you mentioned Antonio Silva, and I know that I asked this on the Portuguese podcast last week, and I'm going to ask you guys this now, and I think we've touched on it. Oscar actually asked the question in our group chat. The kid's been crushing it, right? 18 years old. He won the youth league with Benfica, but he never really played at this level. He gets thrown to the wolves into the deep end with no life jacket. Morato's hurt. Lucas Vinicius was hurt. João Vitor's hurt, right? And easily a situation where this kid just completely gets overwhelmed and knows like, fuck, I have no one behind me to save me, right? You got John Brooks now, who João Fernandes, who was in Turin, said, I don't know if you guys saw the WhatsApp, but he said, "O americano está mais gordo do que eu." So, right now he has John Brooks, but apart from that, right, we don't really have anyone that can fill that void because of the injuries. And I mean, he stepped up to the challenge. He's been fantastic. He was again sublime again today. Nunu was talking about how Antonio was going to face a real striker today, Vlahovic, and I said jokingly, vai no bolso. Truth be told, Vlahovic didn't really do much. He scored that goal that was offsides, but apart from that, he was, not present. Not saying that Antonio Silva was the factor for that. Otamendi was incredible today again.
Beast.
But what happens here, and then I'm basically going to ask the question that Oscar asked as well, is Morato comes back and he's fit. He's ready to go. What do you do in this situation? Does Antonio Silva take a back seat given what he's been doing? Or does Morato now have to hope that there's an injury, that there's a suspension to either him or to Otamendi? Like, what do you do as the manager? And whoever wants to jump on that, go ahead.
I'll say this. If Roger sticks to what he's basically preaching, is Morato was on fire, played, because that was Vertonghen's spot. And Morato earned it, right? So and he goes, now for Vertonghen to win it back, he has to earn it back. So in this case, Antonio earned it because obviously it took advantage of the injuries. If Morato wants it back, he has to earn it back. Until Antonio does any mistakes that are very obvious, why take the kid out? I let the kid play.
I don't disagree.
I 100% agree. And Roger bet on this kid from at the beginning of the preseason, right? We all thought it was going to be Thomas Araujo, the kid that was on the B team last year, came up a few times. Like that seemed to be like the kid that was going to be on the first team, and then all of a sudden this kid comes up from the youth team, played well in preseason. Again, it's preseason, but like you said, Mike, he was thrown into the fucking middle of the wolf pack, and I haven't seen this kid
sink or swim
fluster once. Yeah, like he's played. Granted, I mean today was probably his toughest test.
Yeah,
but I thought he played well today. He was calm on the ball. Like he was willing to get stuck in. I think it's his spot to lose essentially. Like you ride him out if he starts performing badly or gets hurt, then you look to make a change. But I don't think you make a change just to make a change.
I have one more thing, and I don't know if you guys noticed, but from the games that Morato played until he got hurt, and then from the games Antonio's played since Morato got hurt, I've seen Morato make more mistakes than Antonio Silva.
I don't agree with that.
I agree with that. I had some games where we even talked about this.
I agree with that.
With Morato, we're like, dude, Morato needs to get better at this. Morato is physical, but sometimes you legit mishit the ball, and the ball will be right for the forward. Like Morato had more mistakes than I think Antonio's had since.
Kenny,
I don't agree with that. I think Morato was playing just as well at the beginning of the season before he got injured, and he obviously earned the spot from the beginning of the season. So he was playing better. I mean, you would think that he was playing better than the other center backs, and that's why he earned that position. We can't forget that the kid's 18, 17, 18?
18.
You don't want to ruin at such a young age. Look, we can all say he might, we ride him until he gets hurt or he has a bad game, but that can also completely affect the rest of his career, just like, in a situation like Ferro, for instance. We don't want to, me personally, right? This is just what I'm thinking is like, we don't want to exhaust a young youth player that has potential just because he's in good form. I think once Morato is healthy, I think we ease him back into the lineup. Not right away, right? You continue, you ease him back in, maybe in a cup game or something like that, and then eventually he takes that position back from the kid. Because I do think that, let's face it, the kid's gonna have a bad game. He has not had a season like he's about to have, and he needs to be fresh for the entire season. So I think we need to be careful with an 18-year-old. Now that's it. Like the pressure's on and he's ready to go, and that's all. I think once Morato has a better, he's in better shape. He's a bigger dude. He was playing fine I mean, he won the position from the beginning of the season. I think he gets eased back into the starting lineup, and then we go from there.
I agree, but I'll flip the conversation the other way for you, right? In terms of, and I said this on the Portuguese podcast last week, is we need to, and Benfica has been at fault for this a number of times over the years, right? Is not managing the youth and the expectations and the humbleness and keeping your feet on the ground and making sure that you're level headed, right? We had, you mentioned Ferro was a situation that unraveled quickly. Rodrigo Miranda was another guy that was going to be the next, great thing. And he, fell by the wayside. What message does it send to him if Morato becomes available and he then takes a back seat, right? And I see both sides of it, right? What Luis said in the Portuguese podcast was he's young. His mindset is automatically going to be, right, I'm coming in, I'm filling the void, right? But I know it's not my spot. And when the void is, when the injury is over, I'm going to take a back seat again, right? And that may be his mindset, right? But we don't know that, right? But I can't help to think that a player of his age, right, gets this opportunity, comes up through the rankings, gets this opportunity and is grabbing it with both hands and is playing well. Like, how do you take the fact that, like, I've not made a mistake, I've not put a foot wrong? Have you noticed that I'm here instead of Morato, right? Has there been any drastic difference, right? Like, what mindset or what message does that send to him of like, fuck, like what do I need to do to really hold my spot, right? If what I put in the last month and a half wasn't enough, like what will be enough?
And it's not less than Morato. It's not less. He hasn't done
like,
anything less than Morato.
Correct.
So at this right now, at this moment, they're completely level, right? Morato is doing awesome. He's doing awesome. He's played opponents like Juventus away, right? Morato hasn't been tested to that level yet, right? So
this year.
That's what I mean. This year,
yeah.
Because last year Morato lost his spot to Vertonghen in Otamendi. Morato was a third, fourth piece in the puzzle. So so he gained it this year, but this year he hasn't been tested like Antonio just got tested today against Juventus. Like this is like the reality. Antonio hasn't done anything to lose this spot. We talked about Gilberto and Ba. Gilberto hasn't done anything to lose the spot. So in this case, he's earned it because he's played well since he's come on. So what's he's done to lose the spot? I mean, I get what Kenny's saying. He might lose his if he has a bad game like Ferro, but Ruben Dias had a bad game, and that's on the player. Like, the mentality needs to be a strong mentality. Ruben Dias had it, and like, look at that. He had a bad season, just like Ferro did, because Benfica came back and lost all the games in the second half of the season. And Ruben Dias went to Manchester City for how many millions? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
so that's the other piece of it
it's
too.
The mentality. Yeah.
I think that's the other piece of it too. Is like, I think there's a pecking order as well, right? I know we don't want to think that age shouldn't matter, but I think age and seniority does matter. And I think when at the beginning of the season, these guys, they have roles, right? You're a youth player coming in, you're going to get your opportunities. Most likely when someone gets hurt, you're going to have to step up. And he has filled that role to a T perfectly. Doesn't mean that when Morato comes back, I mean, to me, Morato didn't lose his position either. He didn't do anything for me that lost his position except he got hurt.
Yeah.
So Lucas Veríssimo didn't either. He got hurt. Do you think he takes Otamendi's position now?
Lucas Veríssimo never took Otamendi's position.
But he was playing on the right now because they played a 3 back.
Yeah.
With Otamendi playing a 2 back, Otamendi would have to be Otamendi's position.
It's also the extent of the injury. I mean, Veríssimo is coming from a serious injury.
But Lucas also hasn't played with this manager. Right? Like, that's another element.
That's true.
And
but I think it's a good problem to have. It's a good problem to have. So what I was trying to get to, the other piece of it is, like, I would like Tony to be here for a longer time. Like, if this kid rides it out and has a phenomenal year, there's another one that's gone at the end of the season. I'd like this kid to stick around for, another season, hopefully. So maybe Morato shines. He's been here for a while. Otamendi's gonna be gone. You got the 2 Brazilians, 3 Brazilians, right? And you want the kid to hang around a little bit longer and not be like another Ruben Dias type of sale. I mean, I know we like those sales, but I think, to lose an 18-year-old with a lot of potential would be a hit to the gut. We always preach we want these kids to stay here longer. Well, let's manage the minutes. He's shining right now. Once, Morato comes back, and Morato can come back and suck, and then whatever, you put the kid back in, and you got to do what you got to do. But I think
Yeah,
I think
I
there's a
agree.
rotation there.
I
I think
just
there's a
agree.
little bit of a rotation there.
I agree with the Silvio just said right now. João Felix and Renato both held their positions at 18 or 18, 19. So like, I mean, the age is just a number. Like, you have to see how they're playing against the opposition. And right now, I don't care if he's 18 or if he's 17. As long as he's playing well, it's just spot, my friend.
We have a couple comments here. So Daniel Freitas, abraço para ti, Daniel. Já é tarde aí desse lado. It's Ricardo's brother. He was with us at the Benfica game in Liverpool.
Grande Daniel.
He says, não importa a idade, o importante é ser um grande jogador. É muito melhor que o Morato. Morato falha muito e é lento para jogar ao lado de Otamendi. António Silva, neste momento, é o melhor jogador do Benfica em todos os sentidos. O que menos falha, Otamendi até melhorou com ele ao lado. And Telmo says, honestly, Antonio, for me, is the best Portuguese center back today. It's a bold statement. I don't even know how old he is. He shows a lot of maturity on the pitch.
There's a lot of bold statements that were just said.
Já vai ao Mundial.
Let's pump the fucking brakes, guys. I really
He's going to the World Cup.
the kid's being great. He's playing great, but let's pump the brakes a little bit.
Yeah, I agree. I don't want us to get way too high on him. I mean, the important thing is, right, like us as fans, we can get high on him as long as himself doesn't, his feet don't leave the ground and he doesn't get, in over his head.
And he doesn't seem it either. He
doesn't.
Like,
he seems pretty
just
chill.
so calm on the ball. Like I saw, like when Ba got burnt, like he was the first one to step in and just cover for him. Like he's fast. I mean, he's doing everything he can to hold this spot. And
you got him in Bonucci's place today.
I was about to say, did you guys see that clip of Bonucci when he came in during the celebration?
Yeah.
And he was like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. And he's a big kid. He's a solid dude. He's he's not a small guy. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. But like Joaninha said, right, it's a hard decision for the manager, but a good problem to have for the team, right? I mean, having options and having good options, I think, is important. Unfortunately, we don't have that dilemma with some of the positions in our starting 11, right, that we would like to have. But again, it's a good problem to have, and a decision that Roger Schmidt's going to have to figure out what the best decision going forward is. But again, nonetheless, a good pain to have. Before we close this,
I have a funny comment. So
yeah,
Mike and I we started playing outdoor soccer this weekend, and the ref came up to us and told us we had to take off. I had this like little shitty bracelet on my hand, just like made out of cloth, right? And the guy made me take it off, right? And Mike had we had guys with their wedding bands on, had to take off the jewelry, right? And which is weird to me. And then you see this 18-year-old with all this metal in his mouth. The kid's got braces, all this metal in his mouth.
Seriously.
And you wonder all the damage that he could do on the field with that. I mean, if he had the mindset of Suarez, I mean,
oh yeah,
used to be some deadly stuff on the field.
He'd be messing all sorts of shit up. Before we close this out, there was a comment here that I wanted to touch on. Good thing Jay's not here to defend it. I'd like to see Musa play in the starting lineup. I'm liking him. I thought he came in well again today. Not good decision in the last play of the game in his pass, right? I mean, he didn't really have much of an angle to shoot. I think there was another player in the box that wasn't the one that he passed to, but I could be wrong.
Chiquinho and Draxler were there.
Yeah, and he made the pass to the first guy closest to him, and it was a short pass. But what do you guys make of this comment? Again, like I don't want to criticize Gonçalo Ramos because again, he scored a lot of goals. He's working hard. I thought he didn't play bad today, but like misses like that one that he had with the header. Like those are misses that in games at this magnitude, like those are make or break, right? Unfortunately, it didn't end up being the case today, but like against the PSG or another opponent or on another day, that could be the difference between Benfica going through to the next round or going to Europa League, right? I know that Oscar, you and I have shared our opinions in terms of the strikers, but as the season is starting to play out, do you guys agree with Telmo? Do you think someone else? Do you think Gonçalo Ramos is still the guy?
I mean, I don't think Musa's shown that he could pop that in.
Musa's good. Like he's a tall guy and he wins a lot of but today Ramos was winning the headers too on the long balls from Vlaco, right? So like Ramos just offers more to the team as a whole than I think Musa does. So Ramos comes back and defends. I mean, he look at his hustle got us a PK. Like that kind of stuff like that. I don't think Musa has the legs to do.
Good
I
point.
think Musa's more of like that stereotypical number 9, right? He's go with his back to goal. He's good at holding up the ball, getting the flicks on for the runs coming in. I think Gonzalo Ramos, like Oscar said, gives you more. He can build up the play. He defends, like he works his tail off. Like I think he just gives you a little bit more. And Musa hasn't shown that clinical finishing in front of net yet. Like
Has he scored yet?
Musa, he scored in the
might have won.
preseason.
Preseason.
Yeah.
I'm talking about like in
Okay.
the regular season.
not,
He hasn't scored yet. Coming
Like
in.
I think he's
has a couple
missed a
assists.
few. He's missed a few like sitters too, if I remember correctly. So like, yeah, I think missing opportunities that we need to score is an issue right now, and Musa hasn't shown that he can resolve that issue. But I think
if you guys look at the strikers from the early 2000s until now that we've had at Benfica, who would you guys put on this team that would make this team like elite when it comes to like a top?
Jonas.
Who?
Strikers? Jonas.
Yeah. I like Jonas, but I think my guy to play with this system would be Lima. I don't know why. It just plays because he's he's that guy that was clinically finishing was good, awesome, and then he's fast enough to come back and help and go forward as a team. So to me, Lima to be what I mean, fit perfectly into this squad.
I'm going to go different here. I'm going to say, given the way this team plays, high press, speed, in behind, it may be a bold statement, but I would go Rodrigo.
I was thinking him too. I had a feeling you were.
He was not clinical though. I think.
No, but he was still young.
He was super young when he left.
But he could finish. He could finish, and I think a guy like him with his pace, his ability to get in behind, fitting into this youth system, like I think.
But you don't think Lima had that too?
No, Lima was another one that came to mind, right? Like Cardozo, Jonas, all those guys, right? But like those are guys that they played better with someone near them, right? Like
work.
And clinical guys, right? But I think this team, right? Obviously, a Cardozo like is always going to fit in. A Jonas is always going to fit in. But I think, like to your question, I think a Lima, or I would go with Rodrigo just because of his pace, his ability to get in behind, young player, hungry, like all feeding off each other. I think he would fit in like a glove here. Sheik Marcelino says Cardozo or Jonas. Yeah, much better than Ramos. I think
he's a Ramos with better finishing.
Who?
SLBS says, should we have sold Seferovic? Telmo said, I like seeing how Musa moved and grabbed the ball with his back to the goal with Rafa there. Joaninha says Mentores would be her pick. Dave, welcome back, Dave. Your Braga's looking good, buddy. Let's see if they can hold on.
Raul wouldn't be a bad one, actually, because he works his tail off as well.
Yeah, he works hard. But he scored a few goals for Benfica, but I don't see him as like a pure goal scorer.
Yeah, but some of the chances that Ramos has missed, I think he puts away.
SLB says Lima was awesome and underrated. I don't want to talk bad, but honestly, Gonzalo's advertising for me. I'm assuming that was an autocorrect, but I'm assuming he's saying that Ramos isn't doing it for him. Yeah. And Claudio,
advertising the player to bump up his value.
You Benfica Ganyo. All right, I want to do one quick exercise that I was thinking about before we did this, which is I went back and looked at the lineups of both of these teams when we played last time in Turin, and I want to look at the lineups and see who would you take from both teams to be your starting 11 from the two teams that played. So let me just do this here. Oh God, it's not going to let me do it. All right, I'm going to read it off to you. It's not going to let me do it, I don't think. Hold on, let me try one more time. Share screen, window, Juve. No, it's not going to let me do it.
What are you talking about? What two teams?
So when Benfica went to Turin and tied 0-0. So our lineup was...
We had 3 red cards that game that we did. A lot of players didn't play that game.
I know. I'm just going to read you the lineup. Don't get defensive. Oblak
wasn't playing.
Oblak, Cicada, Garay. Oh, that's why he got him mad. Pizaldinho wasn't in the lineup. Oblak, Cicada, Garay, Luizão, Maxi, Gaetan, Enzo.
Wait, so slow, dude.
All right.
I'm writing
Oblak,
this down. Okay.
Cicada, Garay, Luizão, Maxi, Midfield was Gaetan, Enzo, and Ruben. Rodrigo, Markovic, and Lima. All right. Who would you take? So goalie, I think, is hands down Oblak over Audi. Everyone agree with that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Center backs, Garay Luizão or Otamendi, Antonio Silva.
Do we have to take the pairing, or can we?
No,
take
you can
one?
mix and match.
I'd bring Luizão to pair with Otamendi.
I do Otamendi Garay.
I like that mix, Kenny.
Yeah, I mean, Otamendi guys, obviously, I don't know how they good. I mean, they already played together in Argentina, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah, I'll do Agaray and Otamendi too.
Left back, Cicado, Grimaldo. I like Cicado
That's-
too.
Grimaldo.
I love
But I like-
Cicada,
I like
but I'm
Grimaldo.
going with Grimaldo because he's playing
like Grimaldo.
phenomenal
Yeah,
this
I
year.
want Grimaldo's free kick.
Yeah, phenomenal
Alright.
this year.
Grimaldo. Maxi Pereira or Ba?
Bah. Fuck that
Yeah.
pig.
Fuck Moxie, that trade.
Yeah, I agree. Fuck him.
I agree. Number 6, Ruben Amorim or I'll do the pairing. I'll do the pairing. Yeah, Ruben Amorim and Enzo Perez, Enzo Fernandez, and Tino.
Enzo and Enzo.
I like that.
That's a lot of similarities.
I want
Yeah.
Enzo and Enzo.
Yeah.
I don't think it would work.
You can't leave.
I don't think it would work.
Wait, what was it again? Enzo?
Enzo
Ruben.
and Amorim or Enzo and Tino?
Oh man.
Ruben Amorim is obviously the fourth option.
Yeah, he's out.
I'll
I
go
would say-
I'll go old Enzo and
And
New Tino.
Enzo.
That's-
Yeah.
You
I'll say-
leave the Enzo Fernandez out?
yeah, I'm just gonna
I
change.
think-
I like the
I
old
th-
Enzo.
Yeah, I
the
think they're-
OG.
the two Enzos are
Enzo.
too similar. I think you need the ball winning midfielder, and that's what Tino brings. I agree with Kenny. The old Enzo and the OG Enzo and Tino.
Rui says Garay and Tony. He said Maxi who? Telmo says Garay and Ruben Dias. O Ruben Dias não era uma opção. Telmo.
Deixa estar.
Andas a
Okay,
inventar.
you can do whatever you want.
Someone makes his own rules.
SLVS says, and then he says Nelson Semedo. Oh, caralho, Nelson Semedo não era a opção. Era o Maxi ou o Bá. Rui Mascarenhas says
Qual é o
Enzo
Enzo?
and Tino. Qual é o
Qual
Enzo?
Enzo?
Exatamente. Qual Enzo? Eram dois. E lá vem o Telmo outra vez. Foda-se, Telmo. Não são opções. And then you got the 3, Rodrigo, Gaetan, Markovic. And then comparing it with this time around, you got João Mario, Neres, and Rafa.
I go with this one.
All 3? Neres, Rafa, and João Mario?
No.
I'll go Ned, Rafa, and Rodrigo.
Damn. You guys
No,
leave
dude.
Gaetan out?
Huh?
I'm taking
there's
Gaetan, Rafa,
Damn.
and Neres.
I like
Yeah.
Ned. I like Ned's one-on-one.
Yeah, I would say Gaetan, Rafa, and Neres too. João Mario's playing out of his mind, but like Gaetan was a machine.
Machine, but not defensive. We need to play somebody that can help defense.
Listen, we're
Fucking
playing all out attack.
Yeah, okay.
Go balls to
I'm
walls.
thinking the whole game, not just.
Wait. I'm playing this whole game wrong. I'm gonna
Yeah.
put in Jonesh and
Yeah.
I'm going with the Telmu effect.
Perdón. Yeah, you just pick whoever you want. Rui says Rodrigo, Gaetan, Marco. Telmo finally picked an option. Gaetan, he picks Gaetan. And then up top, you got Lima or Gonçalo Ramos. I think it's
Oh
an
my
obvious
god, is
one.
that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's an obvious one. Joaninha says Grimaldo's goal versus Holland's goal. Did you guys see Holland's goal today? It
That was nuts.
was like a karate kick.
It reminded me of like
Did you
something
guys
like
assist by? You guys see the assist by
Telmo
Cancelo?
says he wants Di Maria and Oscar Cardozo. Yeah,
You see Di Maria skin Grimaldo?
yeah,
Yeah.
he still looked good. Carlos diz, vamos lá para a 13ª vitória, continuação de boa noite para todos os presentes, saudações gloriosas, Benfica sempre, boa noite Carlos, um abraço, obrigado por participares aqui na nossa conversa.
noite.
Yeah, I did see Cancelo's assist, ridiculous
It's
pass.
amazing.
Quickly to close this one off, I know that we're already at the hour mark. MVP for you guys. Goal point has
Mario.
David Nez at 7.8, which surprises me.
Jean Maria for me. I
Me
think
too.
the last few games he's been unreal. I think the way he controls the game has been nuts.
I love John Mario. I love Neres. I love everybody on the team today. I love Tino. I love Enzo. Guys, everybody played unbelievable.
Yeah.
But to me is like I had something with Rafa today. Rafa played.
He worked
like,
his balls off.
His balls off. He had his decision making. I didn't see any that stood out. That was like, oh shit,
Yep.
you should have passed here or there.
I agree.
It would have been because of him. We could have scored like another 2 or 3 goals, and not because like obviously people missed, but he made those plays happen. So I think I give it to Rafa.
I will agree with you. I've been very critical of him when he makes mistakes, and I will agree that there wasn't a moment today that we could look back on and say, what was he doing? Like, and I even called it out early in the group chat. There was that play in the first half where he came out of nowhere and slides and blocks the shot.
Yep.
It wasn't the Rafa that we're used to. The one that, is crucifying backlines and weaving in and out.
You saw today. He ran up through the midfield. Somebody took him down, got up with a ball, and then he had it.
Yeah.
Nice.
How many times have we seen him just lay there and throw his arms up, type of thing? And the fact that he got up, I'll give him credit for the way he worked off today.
I agree with that, Oscar. Telmo says Jean Mario for him, and Rui says Roger Ball. Yes, it's looking good. All right.
No, Roger Ball is the MVP. That's what I think he means.
And joining us says Roger is the man of match. You forgot the T in there, joining you, but we won't tell anyone. It's our secret.
Roger's a mom.
I want to close this off with 10 minutes on this conversation, and it's a different dynamic for us because we're here in the States, and the sports culture is very different than it is in Europe. And I don't know if I know Bill has encountered a similar situation. I have in the UK. I don't know if Kenny and Oscar have as well, but the kid in the post, the kid in the post. So it was a young boy who went to the Famalicão game with Benfica, and the rule for the stadiums, depending on who the home team is, apparently you can make up these rules where if you're a fan of the opposing team and you go sit in a bancada that's not the away fans' bancada, that they can restrict you from wearing the opponent's jersey or having a scarf. And this kid who had tickets to the game in the Bancada Central, which was not in the Benfica section, in a stadium that wasn't full, by the way, right? Like, it's not like, there was no other seat. Like, he was sitting in the Bancada Central, but like there was tons of open seats. And again, this kid was probably 10 years old at most. He ended up not wearing his shirt to the game. And there's rumors that, the dad was told this before they went to the stadium, but me as a dad, like, I came to this game. I don't know where they live, right? But it's like, do I go home, right? Because my kid can't wear the Benfica jersey. Like, what I'm trying to get at is that would never happen here in the United States, right? And there's like this negative culture of like, you're the enemy. You're not my opponent. You're the enemy, right? Which I think creates this terrible dynamic. Like, having passion and having rivalry in sports is great, right? That's what makes it amazing. But like the fact that you're a 10-year-old or any child, even an adult, but look, a child has to not wear a shirt to watch his team, regardless of what stadium it's in, to me is mind-blowing, right? First of all. Second of all, what we're used to here in the States, and Kenny may be able to talk to it more because American football is going to be more tribal, or probably as close to what it's like in Europe, right? In terms of soccer. But here, like, fans are all commingled, right? Like, you're sitting next to a fan from the other team, or like, there's no like dedicated section, right? Like, you buy a ticket, you sit wherever the fuck you want, right? Like, no one's going to be like, oh, you're wearing, New York Red Bulls jersey. You can't, right? We went to go watch the playoffs a few years ago when Henry was there, right? And I wore a Red Bull shirt, and we sat, 50-yard line. All you guys were rooting for the Revolution. I was rooting for Henry, right? And yeah, there was heckling and people giving me shit, but it was like fun banter, right? And you're obviously going to get the idiots that are drunk and stupid and make dumb comments, but it just blows my mind that the culture in Europe is this way, that you can't have a 10-year-old go watch a sport of a team that he likes in an opposing stadium because he's not rooting for the home team, right? And I saw comments of people like, "Oh, não pago cotas todos os anos, não sou sócio para andar sentado na bancada central com adeptos da outra equipa." Like, he's 10 years old. Like, if you can't sit next to someone from the opposing team for 90 minutes, you're the problem. I'm sorry, but you are the problem. I've said a lot, so I'm going to open it up to you guys and give me your thoughts. And those of you that are listening, feel free to give us your thoughts. For me, it is absolutely mind-blowing. I'll stop there. Who wants to go?
All right. So I think I understand it to a point where when it comes to like a Benfica Porto game, right? Because the rivalry there is so big that you're actually trying to protect somebody physically, like from getting hurt, right? But when it comes to, and then I think when it comes to like a team like Famalicão, and I'm not no disrespect to Famalicão whatsoever, right? I think it's more than like, if they do it, I can do it. If like we're just as big as you, I'm not. Why treating us like a small team? Like if you guys on the stadiums, you guys can't go under the different shirt. You're not gonna come to my stadium with a different shirt on my bancada to watch the game. So they're treating it like they try to have balls. That's what it is. They try to be big men. But it's a shame because half the fans on that stadium were probably Benfica fans that paid the money. So Benfica could go back and, you know what? Next time we play in your stadium, which you guys wait all year long to come to make that money, we won't sell the tickets to our Benfica fans, and you have an empty stadium like you guys have every week in and out. So it's a shame that it comes to this, and I'm glad that it became a big thing, and it's all over the newspapers and all that, so they can take action towards this. But I don't see it changing. I just don't see it changing because there's nothing that will stop it from changing, because people like will just, we saw this weekend.
And people were saying like, oh, Benfica Stadium has the designated area. Yes, they do. But there's also been games where Benfica's played Porto, Benfica's played Sporting at the Estádio da Luz, and there have been Sporting fans and Benfica fans sitting around the stadium, not in that
couples.
area.
They show couples that are split. One wearing Sporting jersey, one wearing the Benfica jersey, sitting right next to each other.
And one of the scenarios was, what if that kid's dad is a sócio of Famalicão, right? And he has 2 seats, right? And they look forward to this game, naturally. And his kid likes Benfica, right? And he wants to take his son to watch Famalicão. He likes Famalicão. My son likes Benfica, and my son wants to wear a Benfica shirt because he likes Benfica and he's going to watch Benfica. But I'm a sócio, and I sit in that. So your son can't go with you watch the game, or he can't wear a jersey of the team that he likes because people are going to feel awkward that he's from the other team, or like, again, he's 10 years old. I get the protecting people, right? There's high risk games. Benfica Porto, Benfica. I get that, right? If that's what you want to be the excuse, would I take my kid to the Estádio da Dragão, or maybe not so much the Estádio da Alvalade, but the Estádio da Dragão because of the rivalry? Would I take my kid there wearing a Benfica shirt? Probably not, right? Because I just know the reality of it, right? But if you can't go to a game like a Famalicão Benfica or Aroca Benfica or any other team, right, apart from the 2 or 3 games that are high risk, dude, we have a massive problem. Kenny, I want to get your take on it from like the football aspect, right? You've been to football games, you've been to Cowboy Stadium, you've been to Gillette as a Cowboys fan, right? Like, would you say it's the closest thing to the tribal mindset that is overseas, or you still don't think it's not even close?
No, it is, and you do see fights break out with fans sitting next to each other. I mean, you can go on social media every week during football season and find fights breaking out between fans. That's going to happen regardless, because there's always going to be those people that get too drunk and they get too aggressive and personal, and they take it to that level. But I think the main thing with this story is that the kid was 10 years old. Like, who's going to start shit with a 10-year-old? Like, if you're starting shit with a 10-year-old, you got more fucking problems than we can talk about on here. Like, that's the difference. I can see like restricting adults just because of the possibility to protect people. I mean, look, Portugal and in those little stadiums as well, like, they don't have that much security. So if things do break out, they don't have, the resources to be able to, potentially, account for all that. Like here in the U.S., I mean, we have security, we have stewards, everything. Even at Benfica Stadium, they have all that necessary security. But in smaller stadiums, they just don't have that resource. So I can see why they would want to avoid that. But if it's not about safety, and it's just because a sócio doesn't want, it's a vote by the team, sócios, that they don't want opposing fans sitting in their bancada, then that's just stupid. And if we're talking about 10-year-olds, again, why would you be starting with a 10-year-old? Like, that's just dumb to me.
That's all it is.
I also think
it's not a rule from the league. Like it's each team.
Yeah,
But
That just like enforces.
it's a constitutional right. Like you can't
They just
you
enforce
can't
this
tell
on their own.
someone you can't kick someone out of a stadium because of what they're wearing, right? Obviously, if they go naked, that's one thing, right? But whether my shirt's black, gray, purple, orange, whatever the fuck it is, from a constitutional perspective, like you can't. Again, it's their rule, right? But from a constitutional perspective, like it goes beyond Famalicão's rule. It goes beyond Boavista's rule.
but yeah. No,
No,
go ahead. No, I was
finish.
also gonna say, like, from the images that I saw, right? They were right next to the fence,
the breaking point.
the breaking point, right? I think, like, critical thinking here would make you seem like, oh, all right, like we're not gonna have the kid go into the stadium without a shirt. Let's just bring him over to the other
On
side
the other side of the fence.
and let him wear the shirt. Like, why the fuck? Like, why are we telling the kid he has to take off his shirt and stay there the whole game? Like, just let's use our brains here and a little critical thinking skills and put this together to make it easy for everyone. Like, everyone's happy in that situation. But
Dave's bringing the other side of the element here, and I want you guys to comment on this. He says it's a dumb rule, but it's a rule. Blame the father, and you can't bring flags either, so the shirt falls under the same criteria. I've seen a lot of this, right? It's the father's fault. It's the father's fault. It's the father's fault. But again, like, do you guys agree with that? Like, it's the father's fault. Like, is it a rule? Sure, right? Is it ridiculous that it? Like,
yeah, we're not debating that it's the rule. Like, we're debating like the rule is dumb. That's what we're saying, that the rule should not be a rule. I get it.
But it is a rule. But it is a rule. Until the rule changes, that's a rule. So like in this case, I get why people say blame the father. I get it. It makes no sense to make a young kid take off his shirt. But a father knows of this rule. Like, if you're gonna take a chance and take a shirt in, fine, but then have something underneath in case you can't take it in. Just crumble up, put it in your pocket. You know what I mean? And you have a shirt. But the father knew about this before he went to the stadium.
They tell you as you go to walk in. So it happened to me when Benfica played in Chaves 2 or 3 years ago. As you're going in, we got tickets from a friend, and it was in the Bancada Central. So as you're walking in, I had no clue, so I had my Benfica kit on and get to the front, and they go, you can't get in. Like, you have to take your shirt off. So I had to go to my car, change my shirt, come back. They let me in. Benfica scores. 99% of the fucking Bancada Central is fucking celebrating and chanting like the Benfica section is. Like, it's dumb. I think Oscar made the point where, like, you could see it for a Benfica Sporting, Benfica Porto. Like, yeah, those are like high rivalry games, high risk type of thing. But when you're talking Famalicão, Rio Ave, Chaves, like these smaller teams, they look forward to these games when the Benfica, Sporting, and Porto come. They're making their money then, not the rest of the season. Like, what they make in ticket sales and all that other shit from those 3 games, like, is enough to set them and to be able to pay all their shit off for the year, right? To tell a kid, to tell anyone, well, you paid for your ticket, but you can't wear your shirt into the stadium. Like, it's stupid. To me, it's dumb. I agree with what Mike was saying. Like, it blows my mind that it's 2022 and you can't wear like a Benfica jersey to a Famalicão game. Like, we're not talking about wearing your Benfica kit and trying to sit in the middle of fucking the Stadio do Dragão. Right. Like, we're not talking about something like that, or wearing like a Celtic kit in the middle of the Rangers fan. Like that, those games are like legitimately like high risk. Like, yeah, you need security, you need safety at those points. But these smaller teams,
but how do you like when you make a rule, you make a rule for all, right? You don't make a rule.
It's not a rule.
Hey, I know, but
it's not a rule by the league.
It's a team's rule.
Each team just says no, you can't do it.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah,
Like,
I don't understand Dave's comment.
That's what I was just going to say. Hold on, Bill. So, Dave, if you can elaborate on, right, he said how many more rules should be different for the Big Three than all others. VAR had more cameras for games involving Big Three than other teams. You can't bend rules for any. I agree, but this is like the VAR one is the league. The league drives that, right? As far as I know,
this isn't the league dictating
who
can wear what.
The league does not have a rule on who can sit where, or
it's the teams, because the teams hire the security and they tell the security, don't let anyone wearing Benfica kits into these stands. They're only allowed to wear their kit if they're in the designated area.
Because I've seen games. I've seen games like Benfica when they're panning the camera over the stadium. You see couples with two like
Correct.
Benfica Porto, Benfica Sporting jerseys in.
Who was it when we
regular-
played at Leiria? Was it Casapia, right?
Casapia. Well, that was on a neutral stadium. We played in Leiria.
Isn't that their home stadium for the year?
No, they're supposed to play at the Jamor, but there was a concert, so they moved. Yeah, they have a mobile home for their stadium. They move around.
That was like 99% Benfica everywhere.
Joaninha says me pulling up to the Dragão in October with my Benfica kit. Maybe women are exceptions. And Joaninha was just there, but she didn't go out. She didn't go watch Benfica Porto when she was just there. But I'm curious to know. Her fiance is a Porto fan, and I'm curious if you've gone to the Estádio do Dragão with a Benfica shirt with your boyfriend at the time or fiance, and have you gotten shit, or have you gone in without a Benfica shirt and he's gone with a Porto shirt? Like I've seen it at the Benfica stadium. I've seen fans, couples, friends. I've not experienced it myself there. I experienced it in England when Bill and I went to go watch Chelsea Arsenal at Stamford Bridge. I was told by a friend there that I can't wear Arsenal gear unless I'm sitting in the away end. So I didn't. I had it underneath my pullover. And I made sure not to make any actions or movements to make it seem like I was a Arsenal fan.
Lucky for you, it was a 0-0 draw.
But it's just crazy to me because here in the States we don't have that. Apart from you have the midnight riders for the Revs that sit behind the goal, right? Like an opposing team wouldn't buy tickets there, right? Like you're not going to go sit in the middle of the clock of the Revolution or any other team here in the States, right? From a soccer perspective, but I agree with Oscar that I don't see it changing, unfortunately, unless the league makes an example out of the situation and says, listen, like you buy a ticket, right? Like deal with it. If you can't be grown-ups and if you want to create a family environment and make the sport entertaining, which is what it's supposed to be, and instead you're having it be, an environment of fear, of uncertainty, then we're going to keep going down this path, and it's not healthy for anyone.
Well, guys, I know Miguel's missing the point. I think, like he's saying, if I had a tattoo, will they make me remove my tattoo? It's not about what you like.
Correct.
A tattoo in your skin. It's about when a camera goes around the stadium, you're playing at home. If the whole stadium is red, it's a motivation for the Benfica team. You know how the 12º jogador type of thing.
Yeah.
So obviously, they want to have a little advantage by not having all the stadium in red. So they gave a designated area for the red team, for the red supporters, even though everybody else is probably going to be Benfica fans anyways. But they don't want the whole stadium on TV to be Benfica, like they're playing at home. I get that. Maybe it's not about the whole I want to protect you physically. It's more like I want to be a home team. A home team is red on that corner, and then everybody else is neutral.
Yeah,
this isn't just like a Portugal thing. Like you see this across Europe. Like
Correct.
The only
But
place you see the away fans is in that little section that they give allotted tickets to, and that's it. And it's crazy that it's 2022. Like the fact that you can't wear.
But just think about Portugal, right? If they didn't stop that from happening, every single stadium other than Sporting Porto, it'll be all red. Every single Benfica game.
But that's not anyone else's fault, right?
It's not. But don't you think the home team wants to kind of like we're the home team?
But those teams are making money.
Even if the stadium is not red, even if I'm not wearing a Benfica shirt, like Bill said, shoves.
Dude, I'm telling you, in shoves, that one game, there was the one section.
It's not just that one game. It's probably every time
shirts.
Benfica goes there, right? Like you'll see it this season, right? Like even if they're not wearing Benfica shirts, you could probably be willing to bet that 90% of that stadium are Benfica fans, right? So whether you're wearing a red shirt or you're wearing a plain shirt,
100%. I totally agree. I totally. I mean, I go watch the Miami here in Miami against the Celtics, and half the court it's Celtics legit.
Yeah.
Everybody there is Celtics fans. So they're spread throughout when I look on Ticketmaster, I look for the cheapest tickets. Hey, where's the cheapest? What section has the cheapest seats, right? Or the best seats, but the most affordable. I don't look where's the Celtics fans sitting. I'm looking wherever I'm sitting next to Miami fans. Doesn't matter. Over here that doesn't take into account. But that must be a thing in Europe. I have no idea.
It's weird to me. We'll see what comes of it. agree with Oscar. I don't think anything's going to change, but we'll see. We'll see if the league forces someone's hand and makes them take action, or let's get some more policing and security and make it a safer environment, and people then can wear whatever the hell they want, and it's not a matter of I'm doing it to protect your safety.
Get that kid a red Cantinho Benfica shirt, and then
seriously, I offered him 2 tickets, but he
might have to take that off too.
He has a red pass at the Stadio de Luz, so he already has.
So what if you just happen to have a red shirt, but it's not a Benfica, it's just like a red and white shirt. You still can't get in.
It really depends on who the hell the security person is. Like if they're a dipshit and want to be a pain in the ass, or if they don't care. Really,
yeah, it's dumb.
Like
there really is no set rule. It's just it's personal preference.
Correct.
It's the teams.
Correct, and it's mostly the teams in that area, right? And take it with a grain of salt. I'm not criticizing anyone, but from the teams that you hear mostly about it is Paço Ferreira, Boavista is a big one that constantly fans have issues with. Rio Ave is another one. I know we've heard about a couple situations with Chaves, unfortunately. But it's that north and south thing, right? Like, but again, not surprising because 90% of the teams in the first division are in the north. Right. And there's only 3 or 4 that are down south. So, we went a little bit over. We're well into stoppage time here. So we're going to wrap it up. I want to thank everyone that was in the chat. We had some good comments, some good feedback, some good interactions. Oscar's got some notes here. What do we got here?
Guilty?
Oh God. This is we have a conversation guilty. For another day.
Innocent till proven guilty. Is that what we're reading?
Oscar, I can tell you one thing, that you will 100% be in the minority with this conversation.
Wait, let me take my hands off.
100%.
No one can read that.
That's the worst handwriting ever. That's worse than mine. I voted for you, Mike. I don't know.
Stick a piece.
I can guarantee you'll be in the minority in that conversation. We'll save that one for next week. I want to thank everyone that was in the chat. Hopefully everyone enjoyed the videos that João sent us and we posted online. There was a lot of interaction with the fans in Turin tonight. We come away with a huge win. I'm going to leave you guys with this thought. Benfica's in first place with 6 points. We got 2 games coming up against PSG. Juve has 2 games coming up against Maccabi Haifa. I hope it's not the case, but we could come away. Next time we have to play Juventus at home, match day 5. We could be even on points against Juventus, which makes you sit back and think like we just won the first 2 games away in Turin, and we have 2 games coming up that are going to be tough if we don't get points.
Don't forget, if we do come after these 2 games at 6-6, that means PSG is already qualified.
Correct.
Yeah. And that means PSG plays Juventus at Juventus and Turin, who already qualified.
Correct.
That's what I was scared of.
And we got Juve at home, and then we got to go away to Maccabi, which isn't going to be easy. It's going to be a tricky fixture. But
we're in a good spot. We're better. I think we're better off than what I expected. So we'll just
we're better off than we were last year. That's for sure. So we'll just stay optimistic. Let's keep the train rolling. Who's driving the Ferrari this time? I don't want to be the one driving. I drove it last year and we fucking crashed and burned. So who wants to take their hands?
Oscar should take the lead.
All right, Oscar's riding.
Me? I said Benfica was going to lose 3-0 today.
I know.
Roger Ball.
Everything you say seems
Oscar,
to go
just predict just predict the loss and we're good.
Oscar's all over.
I predicted 1-1. After the first goal, 3 minutes in, obviously you get scared.
His mind. Yeah, Oscar's jumping off the highway immediately as soon as they score a goal. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and TikTok. And we will be back potentially tomorrow with the Portuguese podcast, depending on timing for everyone. If not, we will be back next Tuesday night, which is our normal scheduled time. Today we moved it because of the game. As always, gentlemen, a pleasure to have this conversation. Smiles all around. Let's keep it rolling. Let's make it 13 at the weekend against Marítimo. Have a good evening, everyone. And of course, Viva Benfica.
Viva. Thanks, everyone.
Viva.